What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of.
We can learn how to communicate with people we think we disagree with. I honestly believe that if the world is saved, it's going to be saved by tens of millions of little things.
Hello, this is Donna Stein with New York City Friends of Clearwater, founded by Pete Seeger, the legendary folk singer and also environmentalist. Over 40 years ago, he realized this river was not the river he played in when he was a child and not the river he wants his grandchildren and the children of the earth to play in. So he he built the Clearwater ship, which brings school groups all year round on the water. New York City Friends of Clearwater is living that legacy for Pete now, saving the environment for the children.
I believe in getting involved in your home community, whether it's a neighborhood in a big city or a small town like this.
Hi, Paul Sladkus, Good News Planet. I'm here with Donna Stein. Hi, Donna. Of the New York City Friends of Clearwater and Ecologic Radio. And Ken Gale. Hi, Ken. Of also Ecologic Radio on WBAI 99.5 FM, New York City. And we are going to talk about radio. We're going to talk about water because they're talking about radio all the time. And water is so important to all of us. We've been friends for a real long time. We're so all excited to get the chance to talk about it. So maybe Donna, if you could start us off, please.
Thank you so much, Paul. We need to be grateful for the water. When you open the tap and get hot water and cold water, know that you're getting something rare. Too many people don't have that luxury. Clean water is so important. It should be a human right. The commercialization of water is probably the most obscene product of the current financial systems. A new way, a fair and healthy way of distribution of human necessities must be realized. Commercialism has led to shortchanging the environment.
Yeah. Ken, any thoughts there?
Yeah, Donna's right. I totally agree with her. Water is a necessity of life. And therefore, it is a human right. It has to be a human right because you can't live without it. And because you can touch water and you can see water, you can feel it, it becomes a commodity that you can sell. And as soon as people are buying and selling it, there are people who are shut out of the process. And so people are living literally with polluted water. They do not have the luxury, they can't take for granted, turn on the tap and the water is clean. And there are reasons that this water is polluted. And there's reasons why, what drives me craziest is it's normal for there to be chemicals in the water. That it's normal for you to turn on the tap and the water is not fit to drink. Who wants to drink that stuff? So you buy bottled water instead, which leaches plastic into the container. And that's not right. That is not right. Water is pure. It's wonderful and it shouldn't be polluted and we shouldn't take it for granted. And the electeds know this. There's a reason it's polluted, find out. If you don't know why your water is polluted, talk to your electeds and make sure that they know how the water gets polluted and stop it at the source.
We're not only talking about drinking water, wastewater pollution from the poisons that big agriculture uses is creating miles-long offshore dead zones throughout the world, killing the bottom of the food chain and life up the food chain, such as shrimp, fish, seabirds, and manatees, a gentle and endangered species. We need to protect all the denizens of the world.
These are concerning issues. Ken, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I don't want to be all doom and gloom because there are things you can do. For one thing, there's environmental organizations all over. And so join one and get them to take on tap water as one of their issues. And if there aren't any organizations in where you live, start one. It doesn't take that many people to start an organization. And politicians don't get that many calls except for the federal ones. So your local city council person doesn't get much contact with constituents. So you alone can really change what they do. And if a few people, friends and neighbors, they start joining in, they will pay attention because you're the only people who have contacted them all this time. It's really wonderful what a few people can do. And, you know, write letters, make phone calls, speak up for clean water, speak up for your own drinking water. Don't take it for granted that it's okay to have all these chemicals in it. Only a small percentage of the water on the earth is drinkable, right? Nearly 3/4 of the earth is covered by oceans. And yet, though desalination is touted as a why not solution, it's not that simple, right? Oceans are not just water and salt, they're teeming with life. When desalination, which is taking the salt out of the water so you have pure water to drink, that is killing microscopic plants and animals in that ocean water. And they're the basis of the food chain. We shouldn't be messing up the rest of the denizens of the ocean for that. Make sure our fresh water is clean in the first place.
Wow.
Agreed. Municipal water supplies are often owned by corporations and not the people in those towns and cities. People think the water will never end, but let's not take it for granted. It is not an inexhaustible resource. If we protect it, it can be.
Yeah.
Private ownership of water sources takes water away from the local communities and family farms. Belong to your local environmental organizations like New York City Friends of Clearwater and Clearwater to help fight for clean water.
Yeah, we don't want natural water springs to dry up. We don't want family farmers to not have enough water for their crops because big agribusiness gobbled up all the water supplies for their cash crops. And, you know, if the agribusiness doesn't have clean water for irrigation, they will use dirty water. You may have heard about various recalls of vegetables out of California. That's because they're using poisonous fracking water to irrigate crops. Whatever water they have, they're making a desert bloom, and it's still a desert. It still doesn't have enough water, so they have to take it from elsewhere. And whatever the elsewhere is, if it's dirty water, so what? They need to have water for the crops.
Let's talk recreation. Who wants to swim in your local industrial canal? What? Policymakers have almost always thought the solution to pollution is dilution. What? Superfund sites like some new waterways in New York are rife with people who thought a large body of water could never get polluted. They thought the pollution would just go away. These are people who didn't think about the future or the consequences of their actions. But you think differently when you don't want your children playing in the waters of your childhood. That is what happened to legendary musician and environmentalist Pete Seeger. 5 decades ago, Pete said, "This is not the Hudson River I played in as a kid and not what I want from my grandchildren." He was one of the early champions of the Clean Water Act in 1972, which is why we can kayak in the river today. Hey, there is a long way to go, but organizations like Clearwater.org, founded by Pete Seeger, have made huge contributions in healing the river.
Oh, yeah.
Kayaking is a wonderful way to get out and really feel the peace and serenity of nature. I highly recommend it. One day when kayaking down the Hudson River, I passed Indian Point Nuclear Facility. My serenity was burst. The thought that the water intake valves were killing tons of fish each day and expelling warm radioactive water. Get out there and enjoy your waterways, kayak, sail, swim, all boating, and appreciate all the environmentalists that came before you that made it clean for you to enjoy. And if it is not clean, become that person and join New York City Friends of Clearwater and Clearwater.
Now, our cities and towns are aging. A lot of developments do not have water treatment facilities, or they don't have the budgets to maintain the ones they have. This causes untreated sewage to go into the nearest waterway. There are new developments on the water's edge that have only been built lately because the waterways have been cleaned up. They don't have that awful pollution smell, right? There's so much more to cover and so little time.
Oh, boy.
Water is fundamental to human life. Let's end it with that really important statement. Water is life. Look us up on www. Of course you do.
I swam in that Hudson also. That's where I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah, good. All right, you can look us up on www.ecoradio.org. That's www.ecoradio and listen to Eco Radio almost every Friday at 2:30 on WBAI 99.5 FM, 2:30 on Fridays.
And thank you, Paul, for doing Good News Broadcast, and thank you for inviting Donna and I on. It's great that you're getting this information out there. And when the water or air are clean, thank an environmentalist, and if not, become one. Enough said.
All righty. Well, we're all in it together. We all know that. You guys have been doing it so long, and I've joined you in many, many, many occasions because I'm an environmentalist myself ever since a little baby Boy Scouter and the lakes in Tarrytown. So it's all good. Guys, thank you so much. And a peace show that's talking about water needs to hear the important information that you two are sharing. I loved how you started speaking about the beauty of water, understanding it, looking at it a lot differently when it comes out of your tap, to the concerning scenarios as well. So we need a full, well-balanced thought about water, the sustenance of life.
Right on.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you, Paul.